Hi, Priya, and welcome to Corey Canine Massage's blog. Would you please tell me a bit about yourself, your background, and so forth, but also about your cats who happen to be Corey Canine Massage clients?
They are longtime clients. Yes, my two little rascals,
Mhm,
Casper, he's really the rascal, and Isis, she's a sweetie pie.
mhm.
They are my two. I'm actually adding a dog to the family. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me.
Yes. So Kara, who Sarah's been working with, bringing over from Turkey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's coming in tomorrow. So I had a little test with her and the cats last Saturday. And so she'll be joining the household as of this weekend. So that's going to be fun.
Oh, I interviewed Courtney for
Mhm.
overseas adoption, and we're talking about Kara, and also I've been helping Sarah with Kara, and
Yeah,
get so she's going to end up with you then.
she is.
End
So I
up.
was actually thinking of maybe having you in a couple of weeks, maybe coming straight to the backyard and giving her a little massage if she's still sort of timid and stuff,
Oh well,
things like
great.
that.
Yes. All right,
But
terrific.
sorry,
And
I digress.
yes, no problem. Go on.
So, in terms of myself and who I am, I
Mhm.
run a blog or website, or I have a persona, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
called What Priya Said. And
Mhm.
it's all about helping people to, as I say, flirt with veganism. If you're not ready to go all the way, let's flirt a little. Try to be judgment free, try to be very positive, and showing that you can live a really great lifestyle and be vegan in all aspects, whether it's fashion, food, fitness, and all the many ways that you can still have a really social, enjoyable life. Because I think people do feel that you're going to miss out on a lot,
Yeah.
and you're not.
Yeah, so continue on with that. Please explain what a vegan lifestyle means to you, what that
Sure.
is, and also tell me why you decided that this was the right path for you.
Sure. I think for me, vegan as opposed to plant based, because a lot of
Yes.
people now are plant based, and that has become the sort of catchphrase over the last 3 years or so. And
Yeah.
plant based really refers to diet only. So if you choose to eat a life like a diet that has no animal products whatsoever, that is plant-based. I consider myself vegan because I also try not to use any animal products in my life. So that means I won't wear any creams or makeups that have been tested on animals or have animal products. I try not to use any household items, cleaners and stuff that are, so I really try to follow a bunny certified, leaping bunny certified sort of lifestyle. And I run an Airbnb called Terra that also embraces these aspects. So it's a vegan vacation home. You don't have to be vegan to stay there, but you do need to maintain sort of a plant-based lifestyle while you're there. And I embrace these tenants, I guess you could say, in that space, in that the whole house is furnished in a very vegan friendly manner, an eco friendly manner. So I'm all about living a very eco friendly and cruelty free lifestyle. And I just thought that is what I embrace in my life. And I thought this is something I think is what the message I want to get out to the world.
Right. And how long have you been vegan?
It's coming on 10 years now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and you call yourself the social herbivore.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that and what you mean by that, and what kind of a vegan you think that makes you?
Sure. Well, Social Herbivore is a partnership I am in with Canada's first female master sommelier, Jen Huther. So
Mhm.
we are working on a vegan food and wine pairing book, the first of its kind in the world. So she is the wine expert, and I am just the wine lover and foodie. And I bring the food side to the table. So it'll be all my recipes and my ideas of entertaining in an eco-friendly, vegan sort of manner, how we can entertain and still be social and do that with a vegan diet. And
Mhm.
she brings all the wine pairings. So that's what social herbivore is. And the reason we call it social herbivore is really because that what I was saying in terms of people feeling that if you become vegan, you're somehow going to retreat into yourself and away from society, that you can't go out for dinners with friends, that you can't enjoy having a dinner party and inviting friends who might not be vegan. But most of my friends are not plant-based, and I always have big dinner parties. I'm a huge lover of entertaining and of cooking. And you've been to some of my
Yeah.
Christmas parties, and I just love to entertain, and I felt like the term social was what was missing from the vegan world.
So you feel like some vegans feel like their lifestyle is somehow antisocial to some degree, and where it doesn't have to be? Is this having to do somewhat with vegans being a bit of a minority?
Well, I think it's more the people who are the non-vegans
Okay.
that they think, oh, well, we're having a dinner party, but probably not going to invite Priya because it's too hard. What are we going to cook for her?
Yeah.
Or can't go out to dinner with this friend because it's going to be too hard. We're going to it's just in general, I think there is an idea, especially for people who might be considering going down the plant-based road, that they're going to miss out on a
Mhm.
lot of social engagements because oh, that restaurant might not have a vegan option, and so they feel like they might be excluded.
Yeah.
When that I don't think that that's the case anymore, and more nowadays it's proving to be less and less the case.
Okay, but you do feel like this preconception about a vegan lifestyle might be keeping people away from becoming vegans, perhaps? Like, just,
I
yeah, thinking
think
twice?
so. Yeah, I think there is definitely that sense of I don't want to feel left out, or I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out on the barbecues. I don't want to miss out on, having some great wine. But that's what we're all about on both the what Priya said side, which is more about lifestyle and everything in the house and outside of the house, and social herbivore, which is specifically about food and wine and about dining. You really don't have to miss out anymore. And you're seeing that just with Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burger over the last 3 years. Those two items themselves have skyrocketed so much. And I think also the movie The Game Changers have really, really changed the perception of people.
Okay, that's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
tell me, let's go back to wine for a little bit. So, how does
Sure.
a vegan pair wine with their food? I also want to go in a little bit about how how vegan wine is exactly,
Okay.
but we'll tackle that next. Sorry?
Like what makes wine vegan?
Yes.
Okay. And this, I think, is a big thing because
Yeah.
sometimes people would think it's like back in the day when organic wine was a new thing and people automatically turn their nose up at it, which is funny because when it comes to organic produce, everyone thinks that's superior. But somehow when you hear about organic wine, people thought it's going to be subpar because, well, they must be doing something different to the wine.
Right.
Obviously, they're not. They're just letting the wine be what it is and interfering very little. And organic wine means, of course, the same as with organic fruit and produce: no spraying, no chemicals, all of that. Vegan wine actually means that there are processes in the winemaking stages,
Mhm.
and specifically the fining stage, where they use animal-based proteins like casein, milk derivative, fish bladder, ox blood. As Jen likes to say, it would be things that would be commonly found around the farm to clarify the wine so that there's no cloudiness in the wine that you drink, because nobody wants to drink a cloudy wine. It just doesn't seem appealing.
Mhm.
So these are items that they would use to clarify and take away all those particles. But there are lots of ways you can do that without using animal byproducts. You can use bentonite clay, you can use um, uh, you can use different, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on a lot of them, but there are lots of different vegan friendly. Clay is the one that's coming to my head right now, but
Right.
there's other words in my head that are not coming out. When they do, I will pop them out.
Okay.
So a lot of wines that you love are probably vegan friendly anyways, and we call them vegan friendly as opposed to vegan because they're only vegan if they choose to go through a certification process to
Oh.
get that label or stamp of approval on their bottle. But a lot of wineries are already vegan friendly because those methods of using those kinds of products are kind of becoming outdated now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the consumption of meat itself is becoming outdated. I mean, just in and of itself, let alone using byproducts or leftovers for other things.
Yeah, and I guess maybe As crazy as this current situation is, maybe that will be another outcome also, because as we all know now, COVID started in the wet markets in
Yeah.
with the illegal meat trades, and as did SARS, as did H2N1, as did like Ebola. All of these pandemics have been caused by the consumption of meat. It might not be the meat that you eat; it might have been animals like bats that maybe you don't eat, but it is the overall idea of meat. And swine flu, let's not forget,
Mhm.
there's an outbreak of swine flu right now in parts of the world.
Yep.
So a lot of these illnesses do come directly, well, most of them come directly from the eating of meat. So yeah, I think that that will be perhaps one of the silver linings at the end of all this
I'm
nuttiness.
hoping so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Where are you on your journey, Reagan? Because I find it interesting that you're talking to a lot of vegans.
well, I want to get the message out there to as many people as I can as part of my process of moving away from meat, basically.
Mhm.
Um, I am eating less meat in my diet over a longer period of time. I mentioned this to other people I was interviewing, including Julie and Sunny,
Yeah.
and yeah, um, it's uh, it's a little bit of a difficult process because
Mhm.
my husband is the cook,
Right.
and he is moving away. He's eating a little less meat as well, so he is moving towards that. He's not eliminating it though, so I am a little bit tied down by what he's
Right.
what he's cooking, but I'm doing my best, and I am, yeah, looking forward to, especially as COVID-19 wraps up and I'm a little more in control of what I'm eating, and going
Mhm.
back to eliminating more and more over time.
100%.
And dairy is something that's going to be a next step, but it's the difficult one for me. Actually, it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is it the cheese or the milk?
I don't like milk all by itself, so that's not a problem. It's ice cream and cheese.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what
Although,
though? There are so many great ice creams now. I mean, my housemate is not vegan, but he's been eating a lot less meat lately, like a lot less.
good.
And he gets some ice creams too that even he likes, that brands that I don't know of. But I could totally recommend to you some
Good.
amazing ice creams that you can find in the store. Ben and Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs even do vegan ice cream.
Oh wow, yum. Okay, good.
So
Phew.
if there are any other like tough spots for you, and the cheeses, I know that is a really tough one for most people.
Hmm.
In terms of what you can find in grocery stores, I would say that the Dia block cheddar is one of the best cheddar substitutes I found, because
Nice.
let's be honest, it's the hard cheeses that are the hardest to
Ah,
replicate.
yes.
There are amazing cheeses, all kinds of cream cheeses or spread like cheeses, but
Hmm.
the harder cheddars are really difficult to replicate. And Daya does make a good cheddar, I have to say, even though I'm not a huge fan of their cheeses generally speaking, but I've been impressed with their artisanal blocks. So
Cool.
they're constantly reformulating to
Hmm.
try and make it more cheese like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And are they available in regular?
Everywhere,
Yeah, that's
regular
terrific.
grocery stores.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because that also um, is something that just its accessibility is important as well.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and but definitely like the ice cream is now easier than ever, especially since some of the big brands are on board, but there are so many great ones. Actually, Tofuti, I think, they make
yeah.
these little ice cream sandwiches, and they're
Oh,
so good.
oh,
Nobody can
awesome.
tell that they're not real. Like I often have people saying, "Are you sure this is not,
Oh, good.
this is not vegan?" Yeah.
Now, what about their sugar content? Is there any less fat or?
Well, let's just keep it real here. I'm not a
Yeah.
nutritionist, and I'm not, as much as I lead a very healthy lifestyle, because I don't eat a lot of sweets overall. I don't love junk food. If
Mhm.
I have a bag of chips in the house and I dip into it, I will eat the whole bag, but that's a very rare occurrence for me.
Mhm.
I do like eating a lot of produce, and just I have a good healthy lifestyle.
Mhm.
But when I'm going to eat ice cream, I'm not looking at the nutritional content.
True enough.
When
Yeah.
I'm eating a faux meats product, I'm not looking at the nutritional content, because that's not my bread and butter, so to speak, vegan butter. It's my indulgence. So no, I don't ever look at those things and wonder if there's less sugar or if there's less fat, because those are not health foods. They're treats. And we don't go to McDonald's to have a healthy burger. So if you're going to go to McDonald's or go to A&W and get your Beyond Burger, then I think the backlash that is out there, sort of like, well, but it's not healthy. Okay, well, are you going to A&W to have a healthy meal? No. So just give yourself a break.
Right.
I definitely don't check that kind of stuff. But I know some of the other people you've talked to probably focus a lot more on nutrition and on sugar. That's
Mm.
not my thing. I'm about enjoying a really healthy lifestyle, and when you have a treat, enjoy your treats.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, turning to animals, I wanted to ask you, what do animals mean in your life? Why are they important to you? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good question, you know. I think I've always grown up with animals. I grew up with German shepherds, you know, one after the other, and then another. Like, I've always had dogs in my life,
Hmm.
and they were just, it's just, there's something about the bond. I
Yeah.
think it's the wonderment, the amazement of the fact that this creature can bond to me. We don't understand what we're saying, but we understand how each other feel,
Hmm.
and we still engage together, like we play, like the sense of play between species, or the sense of just lying on a couch and just chilling, you know, when
Companionship. Yeah.
cats are on me and they're purring and I know that they're just happy.
Yeah.
To me, it's just, it's wonderment that there can be this kind of interspecies bonding and understanding, and it is language free. It's
Hmm.
just about feeling.
Yeah.
So that to me is just crazy.
Yeah.
And I just always thought, like, I don't know, I just don't believe in the superiority of the human species.
Hmm.
You know, if anything, if we've been given that, or we have taken that role, then it is therefore our duty to take care of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Just like in this time of COVID, we are all being asked to stay home, not for our own health, but for the sake of the most vulnerable. We
Yes.
have to do that for the world, whether we're dealing with COVID or just dealing with life on this planet. You know, we all have to kind of look out for each other, and it's not the animals who are destroying the world, it's the humans, because of everything we do, because of all the factories to make society run, because of the demand for factory farming, because of the demand for land for the growth of tobacco or whatever it is, instead of just letting the earth do what it naturally does.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, there is a big responsibility, but also just a natural affinity
Mhm.
for animals.
Yes, I find that animals are in tune with an energy which allows them to communicate in a particular way via emotions and that sort of aura energy, and are therefore more in tune with nature and the natural order of things in the world, basically, and being in harmony with it rather than trying to run it or run up against it. And this is something that human beings have moved away from. Even a simple
Yes.
thing like language, um, when we're babies, potentially we're communicating more like animals with energy again.
Yeah.
Um, but as we learn language, it sort of creates a bit of a schism, and then we're, yeah, and when we're disconnected from things, animals are still connected, and it's nice to be able to connect with them, and then
Mhm.
therefore connect back into nature somewhat. At least that's what I find. There's my little.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just tell you a quick story about
Yes.
my mom? My mom has many cats, because there used to be, there would be, our neighbors long, long, long ago decided that when their cats got big, they just didn't want them anymore. So they just put them out of the house.
Mhm.
So we would have a litter of babies, of kittens, every season almost in our shed. And
Yes.
we would always find homes for most of them, but there was always one that didn't find a home. So my parents would take them in.
Mhm.
So my mom currently has 5 cats, one of which is sort of an indoor outdoor,
Mhm.
but 5 cats. Now, Chibi is just such a sweetheart. And 2 of the cats in the house never really got along with her, but for the past 3 months or so, they have not left her side. They just kind of in her face. They're just all over her, lying down with her, just snuggling with her constantly.
Okay.
And I thought there's got to be something going on with Chibi
Yeah.
that they're sensing. Um, and I had taken her to the vet about 3 months ago, and she was fine, except she had some sort of respiratory illness. But I took her back to the vet last week, and sure enough, we discovered she has cancer.
Yeah.
And it's progressed really rapidly.
Yeah.
So these cats just sensed it, and
Mhm.
they put aside all their tensions,
Yes.
all their disagreements, and they have just been a constant source of comfort and just warmth, even just being around her. I think that is amazing
It
about
is.
animals.
That's incredible. That's, and you see stories similar to this, even if it's just interspecies friendships developing and
Yeah.
stuff like that. What animals are capable of as far as love goes, basically,
Yeah.
is pretty incredible and inspiring.
Yeah, we're so arrogant to think that we have a monopoly on emotions like love and fear and, jealousy, but eh, animals have all of those. They just choose to operate from a natural instinctive position of love and acceptance most of the time. Maybe not all the time, but
No, I mean,
it's just
yeah,
a way
there's the
of
issues.
creating harmony. They have to live in harmony.
Hmm. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's often this affinity for animals that brings a person to things like veganism. Was that the case for you as well? Was that part of it?
Yeah, I think that was the initial thing for me. It was just when I was in university and I met sort of my first vegans, I thought, oh, well, but I love animals. So, well, why am I continuing to eat them? And I remember once being in a cab with this Iranian cab driver, and he was vegetarian, maybe vegan, but he said something to me, and it was the first time I'd heard this, and now I hear this all the time. But he said, I don't want my body to be a graveyard. And that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
That idea of why am I putting dead flesh into my body? It just made me cringe. So definitely the idea of eating, of my appetite or my taste buds really being more important than the life of this being didn't sit well with me eventually. And then afterwards, of course, it's like, to me, I feel like all roads lead to the animals eventually. If
Yes.
you're choosing to become plant-based or vegan for your health, for the environment, whatever it is, all of them eventually coincide. So for me, eventually it became about my health. I started feeling better.
Yeah.
It also became about the environment. I realized that my choice is having such a positive impact on the environment. So I'm happier that, yeah, I've made this great choice, and it's awesome for my health too. And it's awesome for the environment too. So it became a choice for many reasons, but the driving factor was always the animals.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And now, kind of circling back to people who are edging towards flirting with, as you say,
Yeah.
veganism and so forth. How does because when I was talking about my husband too, I want to convey that I don't mean like to judge him for
Yeah.
for cooking meat and therefore I'm eating more meat at the moment kind of thing. So how does that work? How does taking judgment out of it work?
Yeah, because I can't have judgment because I was not born vegan.
Mhm.
So I, somewhere along the road, made this choice and I went down that path, and I was vegetarian for many years. I was vegetarian for about, I don't know, almost like 15, 18 years. They all blur together now, to be honest.
Mhm.
But, and then I became vegan. So I'm not a perfect person. So who am I to judge somebody if they're just taking their baby steps?
Yes.
So I can't be that person. I don't understand that mentality. Unless you were born and raised vegan and have been vegan your whole life, then that kind of judgment just doesn't sit well with me.
Right.
I would always say if somebody's curious, to make that transition. And if they love animals, and if they're worried about the environment, and if they're ever, if they are healthy people who do things to maintain their health, those are all things you can grasp onto to say, okay, well, listen, if you're a runner, for example,
Yes.
have you guys watched the Game Changers?
Not yet. No. Will be.
Watch that, because
Yeah.
as an athlete and as somebody who taxes his body physically, I think it would be interesting for him to see the why so many elite athletes are going plant-based,
Right.
because the
Okay.
inflammation, the turnaround time to reduce inflammation, the turnaround time to speed up recovery is so much greater when you don't have the acids and the inflammatory effects of animal products, because they are inflammatory to your body. So if you're an athlete or somebody who cares about your health, that's the angle that I think will help their mind kind of think, oh, okay, I maybe need to do this for the longevity of my well-being.
Right.
If you're worried about the environment, well, hell, there's like 100 million reasons. Factory farming of beef cattle is the number one pollutant, I believe, either number one or two in the world. And not only is the amount of land and the effects of cattle being raised so detrimental to the environment, but then the second biggest thing is that land is being used to grow soybeans to
Oh,
feed
feed them.
those cattle.
Yes.
Now you've got two massive sources of land that are being used to raise the steak on your plate, which first of all costs a lot of money. Second of all is destroying the air we breathe. And third of all, right now when we're stuck at home, going to get groceries once a week or once every 2 weeks, well, if we're in this phase for the next 12 to 18 months, as is expected, who's going to be planting our crops? And we need more land to grow crops,
Yes.
because you're not going to be able to afford that steak on your plate soon because nobody's working. There are
Yeah.
lots of reasons to gently sort of encourage people, or to just show them the way, in a
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
and so I try to do that without judgment. I find it hard with people who just say, well, I like the taste of meat, so I'm not going to stop it. That to me is just ignorance. And
Yeah. Yeah.
give me something a little bit more. Is it
Yeah.
that you don't
There's not much, you're butting your head against a wall there. So yeah.
exactly?
Yeah.
So that's like people in the South way back when saying, but how am I going to work without my slaves?
Hmm.
Well, you can, and
Yeah.
you will do, and you have. So it's like you get caught in a loop. But I like it, but I like it, but I like it. What am I going to do? I like it. Like it. That's just, open your brains a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, do you have any, you've been pretty clear there, but do you have any messages left for people that are looking to reduce their meat and edge towards a vegan lifestyle, or anything else you would like to say at all, really?
Well, I guess I would just say that it's not an easy road. I know, believe me. I hated milk. But
Mhm.
cheese was harder because pizza, because
Yeah.
lasagna,
Yeah.
because so many things, right? Or just cheese and crackers. But nowadays, there are just so many great substitutes. And again, I know a lot of people who are on the nutrition side of things will frown upon faux meats. But even if you follow some of the big elite athletes, they're eating veggie dogs, they're eating, faux meat burgers. They're doing that because there's still a lot of protein, and overall their diet is so clean and healthy that it doesn't matter that they're getting more fat and sodium on some things.
Right.
But there are just so many brands that are amazing out there now to help you in the transition phase. And also a lot of my cooking is favorite recipes that I grew up with: shepherd's pie, chicken pot pie, all these kinds of things, lasagnas, where
Mhm.
I just tweak them so that they're still the comfort foods I grew up with. And you just kind of ease your palate that way by still giving it what it's used to, but just slowly changing the ingredients. And I have to say, your palate adapts. If you ever tried beer or wine when you were 19 and you thought, this is disgusting, and now you get beer by the case, well, that's because your palate adapted. So
Yes.
we can all adapt. So I would just say that there are lots of ways to kind of take that path slowly, to flirt, and just follow me. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to give you some options for whatever you're looking for, and maybe some recipes, and again, judgment free. So happy to kind of help folks along.
Terrific. And we'll leave some links and stuff like that in
Yeah.
the blog so that people can find you and maybe some of these products and so forth very easily. So,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Priya.
Thanks, Reagan.